We are absolutely winning right now. Absolutely. We have done more than change the conversation. We changed the balance of power in the federal government.
I want what you white hoes get, and I want it today, ASAP, not tomorrow.
How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the Black community?
What Black community? It's a Black environment with Black women and Black children in it.
Let's go. Let's go. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. I want to kind of call back to a show I did a couple of days ago. And it was Brianna Greyjoy. She used to be on I think it's The Hill. She's doing her own show now. And Brianna Greyjoy is basically like a black leftist or progressive or whatever. And it was her and another young lady, and they were just talking about, they were lamenting the romantic crisis in heterosexual relationships, especially in their left-wing liberal little bubbles and whatnot. And they touched on a lot of ideas about like men and women in relationships that I had kind of just been thinking about and been talking about for a while now. The idea of like just the structural realities of women having jobs and money and not being like financially and let's say morally dependent on their men, right? I think that's a word we're going to introduce, right? That's a new concept, right? Women today are no longer morally dependent on their husbands. Once upon a time, I do think it was a relatively common idea that as a woman, especially as a young lady out and about, it was better off to be seen as a chaste woman who is married and loyal to her husband. Nowadays, we don't really have that world of like moral shaming and whatnot. What's the word? Slut shaming. We're not allowed to do that. Like, Iran had a literal thought patrol going around. Like, they call it the morality police, but It was mostly a thought patrol, you know. And as a country, not as a culture, Western culture used to have more of a let me say less of a permissive attitude, right? Western culture wasn't always as permissive as we are today. But that's all gone now. All that's over now. Women no longer need, moral authority from having a marriage. Women are no longer morally dependent on their men. And I think we're all worse off for it as a culture, as Americans, as Black people, all that. And you know what? It occurs to me that I need to get a big cup of water. I totally forgot to get something to drink before I started the show. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back with y'all.
Trying to survive and make good out of the believable lifestyle they gave them, trying to make something good out of that. Just like if you're trying to plant something in the concrete, you know what I mean? If it grows and the rose petals got all kind of scratches and bumps, you're not gonna say, damn, look at all the scratches and bumps on the rose that grew from the concrete. You're gonna be like, damn, a rose grew from the concrete? Same thing with me, you know, he grew like that. He came out of that. That's what they should see, you know what I mean? Okay, that was quick. Anyway, like I was trying to tell you before, like women are no longer morally dependent on having, husbands or even having relationships with their fathers, right? Because as husbands disappear as a social thing, as a concept, as there's just less children being born under wedlock, the idea of having strong fatherhood bonds and fatherhood authority, all that kind of, falls away as well, right? And now we're in this era where, like, as I said, there was just a general economic reality of women having money and all the options that they never had before. And now we have all these rules and laws in place to help them have all the money and all the options and whatnot. And as they got that, then, in parallel, I guess these social things were happening, but the idea of male authority and, female authority being connected to a father or a husband, all that's disappeared. And now we are here where we are, which brings me to an article from the New York Post, y'all. The New York Post actually followed up a little bit on that conversation that those two women were having. It was about an article that one of the ladies wrote, and the New York Post is kind of commenting on the whole hetero pessimism thing. And they say, look, studies show that married women are not only happier, but also live longer and earn more than their single counterparts. Jacques, whatever her name is, Jacques wrote on Tuesday. Because apparently, and this is the title of the New York Post article, a growing trend of hating men seems to backfire as anti-marriage movement leaves single women losing out. Apparently, hating men doesn't make the men like you anymore. I know it's a crazy It's a crazy calculation. I don't know how they figured out the math on that one, but that's what's happening. That's what that's what the young ladies are learning all of a sudden here. Apparently, things are just getting rough out there on the dating market. Says the trend coincides with the falling U.S. marriage and birth rates. U.S. official Census Bureau data from December shows that just 47% of American households in 2025 were married couples, down from nearly 66% 50 years ago. Jocks linked the shift directly to liberal ideology, noting that left-leaning Americans choose to opt out of traditional family lifestyles far more often than conservatives, right? And you know what? If you think about it, what community in general is just left-leaning by nature? What's more left-leaning than Black America? Black women in particular are like the largest, most loyal Democrat voting bloc. Democrats being the party of liberalism and leftism and all that. And that would track, right? Black America being the group that has the lowest marriage rates, right? But I don't think this article or the lady who wrote the original article, I don't think they're getting to the racial dynamics. That's just me. I'm just kind of like skimming the article real quick because it ties in to the overall question that we're going to get to in just 1 minute here. But the idea of marriage and women, especially Black women, because I came across the clip. Apparently this clip has been, it's a relatively older clip, but what's old is always new again. And this clip is a couple of young women, one woman named Mandy B in particular. Mandy B, she has like a podcast on YouTube and all that. Almost everybody has a podcast on YouTube, right? But Mandy B has a podcast on YouTube. Mandy B is the lady in the white shirt with the blonde hair. And Mandy, she is telling everybody that she believes that marriage is for broke women. Which, if you think about it, I've been arguing that a big part of the reason that marriage is down and relationships in general are just a lot harder to come by and a lot more tenuous than they've ever been before is mostly for economic, financial reasons, right? Women just have the money to make decisions that they would have never been allowed to make before. And not only that, they have kind of like the social freedom to make decisions that they would have never made before, right? They don't need the moral authority from fathers or husbands anymore. And once all that's removed and you just have the animal in its raw, primal, naked form, well, I guess a lot of them just don't want the things that we used to think that they wanted. That's what really the whole red pill, blue pill thing kind of boils down to. Men used to believe women had the little house on the prairie dream. Men used to believe that women believed in the man and the wife with the 2.5 children and the little house with the picket fence and, the nice little suburban neighborhood with the good school. Everybody mows their lawns. People have barbecues and little kids play on the little league team together and all that. Guys used to believe that women actually wanted those things, right? And a couple of them do. A couple do, to be sure, right? A couple of them do, even if it's only briefly. Even if things don't ultimately work out, a couple of them do. But in general, a lot of them were finding out they just don't want the dream. And maybe it's not even a dream for them. Maybe a lot of these women are looking at it more of a nightmare, right? They call marriage slavery. They say the patriarchy is like subjugating women, right? The patriarchy is keeping women down. The patriarchy is the thing that is preventing women from living their dreams to their fullest potential, right? If it weren't for the patriarchy, women would be driving tractor trailers, women would be bench pressing 350 pounds on a regular. The patriarchy is the reason why girls can't pee standing up and write their name in the snow. It is totally a patriarchal conspiracy that women can't like just stand up, let it rip, and write their name in cursive letters, right? It's totally the patriarchy's fault. And now we have this environment, this culture really, where I guess in my own way, I guess maybe I too have been arguing in a different, completely different terminology, a whole other set of like words or whatever. But I mean, I guess we're kind of in agreement. Is marriage for broke bitches?
Protect
Agreed.
everything that you have.
If you're a woman that is focused on making more, having your own career, bringing in your own money, absolutely. I think, okay, so this is going to be my hot take. And no shade to either of
We're
you.
only 3 minutes in.
I know. I think marriage is for broke bitches.
Oh,
And so I think a woman who wants to be married is leaning more into the patriarchy and wants to be essentially, possibly taken care of, have their man as the leader. All of the ideals for me of what marriage looks like is that. So I just saw my friends recently this weekend. She was like, did you want to be married? And I literally said, yeah, when I was poor. As a woman.
Now, right away, I think those things are relatively true about women who want marriage. Like, generally, the women kind of have traditional ideas about what men should do, even though women have very up-to-date, modern, futuristic ideas about what women should be allowed to do or whatever. And it's really hypocritical. That's a whole other point, sidebar or whatever. But I think that is relatively true. Women expect marriage to be very much beneficial for them in terms of like what the man will provide, either physically or financially or just, in general, they tend to marry up, And I think I was talking about this briefly. I was on Corey Love's show the other day, and they were talking about older women getting with younger men. And I think that's just a relative truth of just getting to an age in life for men and women. Dating down is it's fun. It's a little bit optimal in a certain way if you really want that. But ultimately, it's not like really going to be a long-term pairing, right? Children are typically off the table if it's an older woman. And even with older men, I mean, there's more chance of a pairing, but mostly if he has money to keep her around, and it's, I wouldn't put my faith in all that all the time either, right? But generally speaking, money is a thing, right? Because the older woman, younger man thing has a money dynamic to it as well. And the fact that, again, women just have their own money now, it changes things. And women having their own money means less women actually even expect men to, quote, take care of them in that way, right? Men and women still want the one thing that only a man can give a woman and a woman can give a man, which is, physical gratification, right? Everybody likes the, a good hunching every now and then. But beyond that, we really are moving to a point where women are just kind of coming up with all of this, like, really philosophically deep, genius level argumentation about why they should just, have a young city girl life. And then maybe if they can find a sucker nigga later on, we'll get him to bear the burden of all my bad decisions later.
Protect
Agreed.
everything that you have.
If you're a woman that is focused on making more, having your own career, bringing in your own money, absolutely. I think, okay, so this is going to be my hot take. And no shade to either of
We're
you.
only 3 minutes in.
I know. I think marriage is for broke bitches.
Oh,
And so I think a woman who wants to be married is leaning more into the patriarchy and wants to be essentially, possibly taken care of, have their man as the leader. all of the ideals for me of what marriage looks like is that. So I just saw my friends recently this weekend. She was like, did you want to be married? And I literally said, yeah, when I was poor. As a woman who can now like provide for herself, also doesn't want motherhood, and also sees a lot of these celebrity women now having to continue working because they have to pay alimony. I mean, we have even podcasters now paying alimony. Shout out to Rachel Lindsay. Like there's all of these people that once you make a certain amount of money, if your man doesn't, you have to pay them out. And I just don't want to be that.
That's a take.
I don't want to be that.
But you also,
You know what? That is a great catch. My man Jabroni, he says, I agree with her. Marriage is for broke bees, but 90% of these bitches be broke. 90% of y'all be broke. Which I would probably quibble with you about the raw numbers of it. I would push it down to probably like 75. You know, there's a lot of women who have a good amount of money. There's a lot of women with some money out here. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be all this gigoloing going on if there wasn't women out here with money. All right. A lot of them be fat, a lot of them be older, but either way, a lot of them be having money. All right. But on top of all of that, though, the reality is men do tend to have just, you know, for one reason or another, a lot of men earn more money than women. You know, even in the, you know, the black community where they say all the men are bums and broke. Even in Black America, Black men on average outpace Black women in earnings, right? It's not as huge as like the gap between white men and white women, right? It's not anywhere near like that, but it's still, you know, it's still a gap, you know, and they can still get his credit. You know, a win is a win, right? But that's just the reality of it. Men out earn women generally. And here's the kicker, though. And this is why the game is kind of like rigged in a way, and it's kind of awful. It really is awful because, like, it's just, you know, it's damaging to the whole male-female dating environment culture thing. But no matter how much money women earn, women generally expect men to earn more money. Generally speaking, they expect the male contribution financially to be, you know, significant, if not, you know, greater than. Equal to and or greater than, right? You guys remember these math equations? You thought you would never use all these little math equations when you were back in middle school and high school right now. But right now, that's what it is. You have to, it's like the math, right? From middle school, right? The man typically has to have an income earning level equal to or greater than the woman, or she is just less interested in the pairing. Now, there may be other things that come into play that kind of fill, you know, a little gap if the gap needs to close a little bit, but that's the general math of it all. And women having all their own money just makes it a lot more difficult for the equation to balance itself out in the real world, right? Are numbers fun? Don't you like having fun with numbers? But this clip has been going around, so I want to jump around a little bit.
Ish. Let's hear what our girl Mandy had to say about marriage.
So Mandy,
protect. Agreed. Everything that you have.
If you're a woman that is focused on making more, having your own career, bringing in your own money, absolutely. I think, okay, so this is going to be my hot take.
uh-oh.
And no shade to either.
We're only 3 minutes in.
I know. I think marriage is for broke bitches. Oh, and so I think a woman who wants to be married is leaning more into the patriarchy and wants to be essentially, possibly taken care of, have their man as the leader. All of the ideals for me of what marriage looks like is that. So I just saw my friends recently this weekend. She was like, did you want to be married? And I literally said, yeah, when I was poor. As a woman who can now like provide for herself, also doesn't want motherhood, and also sees a lot of these celebrity women now having to continue working because they have to pay alimony. I mean, we have even podcasters now paying alimony. Shout out to Rachel Lindsay. Like, there's all these people that once you make a certain amount of money, if your man doesn't, you have to pay them out. And I don't want to be that.
That's a take.
I don't want to be that.
But you also start.
Mandy's crazy. She did that sitting next to Weezy. Shout out to her. Just recently got engaged.
Hey, shout out to my man Harambe with the $6 coffee donation. Appreciate your support, y'all. Do me a favor, hit that like button, like, share, and subscribe, and click the link in the chat if you want to support the show.
I need that money.
Give me the money. Give me the money, but I will do it. Give me the money.
I think she had some points in there, but I think she worded it in a hot take way.
I think it's starting to really be a overwhelming sentiment if people want to admit it or not. I think a lot of people that are getting up the ladder financially are not looking at marriage in the same way anymore. And I hear every day from men and women that are starting to make more bread. They be like, yo, it's not needed for me. I don't even see the advantage in being married. I know Mandy personally. Mandy stands on the hill of, I don't really want children. So if you don't want children, then you take away the whole family dynamic from marriage.
Yeah, I think on a practical level, like a man and a woman can, live together and all that good jazz if they really want to. And that will take, that can actually work in many cases, right? That's pretty much what a lot of people have been doing. But I think once you just totally remove the possibility of children from that partnership, the idea that we're going to get quote unquote married, like that official, the ceremony, the government paperwork, all that, the whole jazz, I think once you take that off the table, it does remove a lot, like a major part of the whole motivation. Because honestly, if you think about it, you could argue, if you're going to be all like poetic with it, you could argue that marriage is kind of a business, right? The husband, the wife, the man, the woman, they are in a type of business partnership together. It's a co-op. It's a business co-op. And the product that this co-op produces is typically children. And those children go on to be, a part of the engine of whatever community or country or whatever that they happen to live in, right? That's the business of a marriage. In one way, you could argue that. If you're telling me that there's no way that this business will ever be fruitful, then why do we even get in the business? You know what I mean? Why don't we just hang out and talk about bullshit and then, I go home and you go home? And that's basically what people are doing right now.
You get what I'm saying?
Entirely true.
If it's not in your plans to have children,
there's still a family involved.
I said it takes away from the family dynamic because the kids make up a part of that dynamic. So you could literally be dating somebody for 10, 20 years and be married for them for 10 or 20 years.
Then that's your family.
Yeah.
And they could be your family if you're dating or married. Like it ain't no real big difference.
So the marriage piece don't change.
But that would be the same thing with kids.
But the same shit go with kids then.
I think the kids add to the family dynamic.
You could be with someone, have kids, y'all, and still be a family.
I know.
So
I'm again, bro. I'm not. We did this. I'm talking about this particular person. She don't want any kids. She is in her cards. She's saying, I don't want kids at all. And so for her, again, she could date the same person or date multiple people without being boggled down by marriage and all of the restrictions that marriage presents. Because
shout out to my man Laundromat in the chat. He says the only reason I got married was to have children, which it occurs to me too, just in terms of like men and the male mind and the way men like imagine how life should be ordered or whatever. The idea that a woman is like marriage worthy and marriage minded, even, it encourages men to think more about marriage, right? You really be like, oh, you know what? Damn, she's different. I could probably do stuff with her. Which what I guess I'm getting at is the idea that there are less men around, especially black men, because you look kind of black in that picture. You look dark-skinned-ish. And the argument with a lot of black men is that there are a bunch of black women who want to get married. And these black men are just horrible for whatever reason. There ain't enough, marriage-minded black men. But using this one lady's argument in general, and I'm gonna play something else from another couple of women too later on. But using this one lady, Mandy B, as just a little bit of a case study, as Exhibit A. I've been arguing for a while now that although you do have whatever kind of men out there that these women are apparently dealing with, like those men are real. They're not all like fantasies and lies or whatever. They're not out here getting pregnant by nobody. But the reality is, I think a lot of women, either consciously or subconsciously or just totally haphazardly, they are not moving in a way that signals that she is a woman who wants to be married one day and live in that kind of way. And that, the men respond to that as well. If not a wife, then why marry? Men only marry wives. In general, that's the idea. Every now and then, you crap out. Every now and then you get a dud or whatever. But the general theory is that men really want to marry wives, right?
Marriage does present some restrictions for you.
Like what?
I can't do whatever I want to do if I'm married without consulting with my significant other.
What do you mean whatever you want to do?
Is that different?
Like what?
Oh.
But I'm saying, what's the difference between that and
studies?
you study, you believe in studies and like you. What I'm saying is that there is a study that married men are more successful.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because some of those restrictions, the distractions that you have when you're single, some of those distractions aren't present when you're in a relationship that
Married
is
people.
Yeah, I think that's that is the practical reality. And and I've thought about this a long time ago. Like what are the kind of non-moralistic, the non-biblical arguments for monogamy? Marriage effectively. And what I really came away with was a lot of the practical things, a lot of the practicality just boils down to focus of energy, conservation of energy, a more efficient method of creating wealth. We share the burden, which means there's actually less burden to go around, which would free you up to do more productive things and to be more productive in general. And that was the general working program for a very, very long time. Now, the modern world isn't really built for that dynamic anymore. And it's hard to kind of get back to that. It really is. But that has been the general working pattern of it all, where you just kind of you just combine resources and effort and whatever, and it has worked well for a lot of people for a long time. My condolences to the losers out there and all the people who tried their best. I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. All the sad music people and all that. But in general, that's the way it's been working. Let me jump over to the Breakfast Club really quickly.
For context, this interview actually went down on August 18, 2025, but it is going back viral again.
I don't remember it going viral the first time.
Well,
I just heard it yesterday.
I would have remembered. No, this is from August 18, 2025. But we're going to talk about it because people are now having a conversation because Mandy says that marriage is a broke woman's sport. Let's take a listen.
If you're a woman that is focused on making more, having your own career, bringing in your own money, absolutely. I think, okay, so this is going to be my hot take. I think marriage is for broke bitches. Oh, and so I think a woman who wants to be married is leaning more into the patriarchy and wants to be essentially, possibly taken care of, have their man as the leader. all of the ideals for me of what marriage looks like is that. So I just saw my friends recently this weekend. She was like, did you want to be married? And I literally said, yeah, when I was poor. As a woman who can now like provide for herself, also doesn't want motherhood, and also sees a lot of these celebrity women now having to continue working because they have to pay alimony. I mean, we have even podcasters now paying alimony. Shout out to Rachel Lindsay. Like there's all of these people that once you make a certain amount of money, if your man doesn't, you have to pay them out. And I just don't want to be that.
Well, there's plenty of rich women who want to get married too.
Just don't. And it's pretty rich women who are already married.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And just because when you were poor, you wanted to get married so somebody could take care of you does not mean that's everybody else's like thing.
Well,
no.
Yeah. But the numbers are trending downward for a reason. You know, and I hate when people argue the outliers. Like, you can't just argue the what ifs. And, you know, there's this one guy I know. You know, I remember that one lady I met. You can't just argue the outlier all the time.
If your man doesn't, you have to pay them out. And I just don't want to be that.
Well, there's plenty of rich women who want to get married too.
Just don't. And it's pretty rich women who are already married.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And just because when you were poor, you wanted to get married so somebody could take care of you does not mean that's everybody else's like thing.
Well,
no. It kind of contradicts what she said. I don't get.
Well, I have a second clip where she's talking about her experiences and what she saw, and I think it will make a little bit more sense. Let's take a listen to the second clip.
I'm super rich and I'm super fine. So I'm super duper enough. God damn it, for someone to want to come after me and get alimony. I ain't gonna lie.
I will give you you know, rich, right? I'll even give you super rich. You know, I'm not gonna be the adjective police. You know, you can adjective however you like, right? I'm not gonna take that away from you. But I don't know if that's what we're calling super fine. I take issue. I want to call. I make an objection to the use of the word super fine in this particular context. I've met a lot of super fine women in my day, and maybe once upon a time she might have came close to like super fine. I don't know, but I think her super fine days are long behind her. I'm sorry, you know, she's not unattractive, right? I'm not saying she's an ugly woman. I'm not saying anything like that at all. I'm giving her attractiveness a solid positive rating, all right? But I don't know if you get like, you know, a gold star, you know, super fine is a little bit much, but that's why these chicks be single, man.
10 figures. Tie me up.
I'm getting a prenup.
See, you're getting a prenup. Yeah. I'm getting a prenup. When you're a woman with even say you're only, and only is crazy. Say you're making $500,000 as a woman, especially a driven, successful, wanting to make more money woman.
Yeah.
You don't see that as your
to make
ceiling.
more money woman.
Yeah, so her co-host Weezy was sitting next to her, and I saw some people pointing out like, "Yo, that's crazy. Why would she say that sitting next to Weezy?" Because Weezy recently announced her engagement. But again, this is an old clip.
Weezy.
Yeah, Weezy got engaged in 2026.
This is last year,
But I wonder if that's
But-
clickbait or if she really feels like that, right? Is her mom and dad married? So does she look at her mom like that or her grandmother like that?
In this interview, she says that she watched her mom take care of men, basically. So, you know, I think that it comes from that as well, too. I think it's more of like a survival and protection thing.
Yeah, you can learn more about Mandy's upbringing in their New York Times bestselling book, No Holds Barred. Okay, that's available everywhere you buy.
She has a book called No Holes Barred. You know what's crazy about life? This is how life works, right? We can get up here and we can look at her. You know, we can be like, you know, she's no longer in the peak of her attractiveness, and we can talk about her book title. You know, we can be like, no woman write a book like that can ever get married. And the reality is, you know, there are sex workers right now. There are famous household name type sex workers that actually have husbands right now, right? So it'd be ironic that, you know, in 3 or 5 years, she probably do find somebody to marry her. You know, it might not last forever. It might be short lived, but she just might get married in a couple of years just to say she did it.
Books now, courtesy of Black Privilege Publishing.
But can I ask y'all a question? I mean, it's different.
I think the comment was stupid. And I think it came from a very hurt person and she has to heal.
I think Mandy was just podding.
Yeah, I think she was.
I don't even know if Mandy probably feel like that.
You don't think she really believed that?
I don't know what she feels today. Well, matter of fact, she actually commented. There was a podcast, I guess, that she recently did that commented under this post and was like, "You didn't say this on our show," and she brought up the conversation about prenups and protection. So I think it's more of a protection thing. And there are women that, I mean, it's different for y'all. Y'all have been with your wives forever.
Since 15.
Yeah, I don't know your situation, but that's a conversation that a lot of women have once they figure some things out for themselves.
You notice when women have money, I mean, this is true with a lot of things with women lately too, but you know, the hypocrisy knows no bounds, right? When women have money, prenups are no longer like a horrible, evil thing. Prenups are no longer this thing where it's like, how dare you not trust me? Oh, you think I would leave you one day? I'll never leave you. I'm telling you, right? Look me in my eyes, all right? And know that I am here for you forever and ever, okay? You know, women really, really will, you know, drive the nail in deep with that one right there. But the minute she get $1 million, all of a sudden, you know, my lawyer told me that this is actually the way it's done. This is how all the people with money do it. And I just can't do it any other way. Right now, she's giving you ultimatums and shit. It's crazy work. It's crazy work, man. Speaking of money, shout out to my man Laundromat who just bought a $10 coffee. Shout out to buymeacoffee.com. The link is pinned to the chat. Appreciate you guys coming out. If you enjoy what we do over here on the show, do me a favor and support the show. Like, share, and subscribe. The like is the easiest way you can support. You can also be like my man Laundromat and smash that link in the chat and buy me a coffee real quick.
Hulk! Smash! Smash you! You make Hulk angry. You not like Hulk angry. Hulk no like fighting girls.
Men have it too.
But that's a business conversation. So I get it. You know what I mean?
You get what?
I get what she's saying about the prenup part of it, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
saying that
being
what did she say? Marriage is a broke bitch.
It's for broke women.
Yeah, for broke women.
Yeah, marriage is for broke bitches.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that.
I would hope that's just clickbait. And she was clickbaiting because that doesn't even make sense. There's so many women out there that have money, that are doing well, that are married, and it has nothing to do with the finance. Yeah, I think she had to be just podding.
And everybody now she got a conversation started a year later.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can accept that, you know, she was just podding, you know, she was being a female shock jock or whatever you want to call it. But I think the truth is a little bit more complex and it's a little bit more damning, right? Because there is this thing called the manosphere. You know, you guys ever heard of the manosphere? Did you know that was a thing? It's like this online community of men who are angry at women and they want women to like get hit with rocks and have bad days forever. They're like, it's really crazy what this manosphere thing is, right? And anyway, like they accuse the manosphere of being like this place that gives horrible messaging to men and is constantly putting out what is effectively like negative anti-female propaganda against women who, you know, have done nothing wrong other than just be a girl and live in the modern world, right? And what I think really has been happening is that women, way before and way more than men even, women have been getting horrible messaging from almost every part of the media. And you know, men have been absorbing a lot of the wrong messaging too. But along with all the kind of blue pill messaging that was out there about, you know, men have to be all, you know, true and romantic and, You know, just be a nice guy and be honest, and, you know, buy her flowers and write her a love poem and do all these really, really touchy, you know, sweet 16 romantic things, and do all those things. And that's just how you get them. And she'll love you forever. Yeah. She'll never leave you for the quarterback or none of that shit. But women, you know, speaking of the quarterback, women were getting that romantic, gooey, lovey-dovey message. And they were also getting a parallel message of girl power, of sexual freedom, of female independence. I don't need no man telling me what I can do with my body. You know, my body, my choice, right? And men weren't really getting a parallel message in that, you know, that similar renegade vein, right? Men's messaging was generally, you know, the good men are like this and the bad men are like that, and you don't want to be like the bad men. Never mind that the woman you love ran away with one of the quote unquote bad men. Never mind that. All right. That just meant that you were off your game and you just got to be better at being a good man, who a woman would never do that type of thing too, right? Like the messaging that men were getting was very different, right? We were not getting that really like parallel renegade reinforcement message. This is why I like when something like rap came along, gangster rap, and, you know, all the stuff about bitches and hoes started to get popular. It kind of pulled a little bit of the veil back on that, you know? And then, you know, we finally had at least one genre of expression talking about that very thing, where, like, you know, some of these girls, you know, they will agree to having the dog pound. You know what I'm saying? Some of these women will agree to things that you could never imagine. You'd be like, but she looks so cute and innocent. Yeah, she like all that freak shit. Like, bro, it's just the reality. And for a lot of men, you know, there was like the infinite blue pill cycle, and women just never had that. And, you know, there's a lot of argument that women are almost instinctively red pill or whatever, and that's a whole nother conversation. But in general, women always had that, you know, rebellious kind of break from the rules messaging. And now what you have is, you know, it's open. It's not even like, you know, subtle propaganda. It doesn't even have to be artistic anymore. Now you just got like post-wall 30-something-year-old women like, you know, marriage is for broke bitches because I got money and I ain't married and I don't want no kids, right? The messaging is all wrong, but it's really not the manosphere is my whole point in going down that whole little spiel. But that's really what I kind of just can't help but to not notice. It's like, don't blame the men for the shit women been saying. Men just talk about the stuff women be talking about.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that logic.
She said, in the comments, she said it definitely doesn't benefit a woman with her own without a prenup. She said that to 17 hours ago.
But this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the TK Kirkland situation. I don't like when money gets involved when you're talking about matters of the heart in relationships. But I guess when you do have a certain amount of money, you have to protect your business, right?
Yeah.
You got to protect your assets.
It should not be about the dollars. It should just be about love. But, you know, like you said, you got to make sure you protect it.
I get it. I see both sides.
You know, unless you're in a situation where you've been with your wife since 15 and 16 when y'all both had no money. Then it
right. When you ain't got no money, you know, all that matters is love, right? All we need is love. Yeah, all we need is love because we ain't got no goddamn money. You know what I mean? And shout out to Broke Love. Broke Love is fun. You know, I think everybody can agree. Men and women, you probably both in your own right. You fuck harder when you're broke, right? It's nothing like having sex when you're broke. Being young and broke, you fuck as hard as you can. You put your whole life into it. All we need is love, God damn it. But the reality of life is that once things like money and responsibilities and obligations, once all that gets put into play, like, you know, love is great, but I'm gonna need you to sign this paper. You know, I signed it already when I was in the car. I'm gonna need you to sign it now. Like, that's just the truth.
It really didn't matter. That's more love. You know what I mean? But if you're in a situation where you're bringing a lot to the table, you don't know what somebody is thinking or what somebody wants to do or what somebody.
If you've never been married, you can't say something like that. Like, literally, like, you can't do that.
Wow. Dropping a clue bomb for Mexican Jeff. I
You know
love
what I'm
Mexican
saying? Like,
Raw.
you just can't say that.
That's how you
I love Mexican Robin Moore.
You never.
Yeah. That's wifey
Mexican
more.
Robin
Hold on.
Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
No. Do you think it's crazy that people now are trying to like be online?
Damn, I was muted up that whole time. You know what? Let me just tell you this real quick. I hate when that happens. Let me just tell you this real quick, because we're gonna cover these next two women real quick, and then we're gonna get up out of here because I didn't want to be here forever. But what I was trying to tell you before I unmuted myself, what I was trying to tell you is that we're gonna get into politics again. I haven't really touched politics all that much lately, and there's a lot going on in politics, and the Democrats having a really hard time trying to wrangle with some unruly left-wing hoes. The black women are really getting out of pocket right now, and it's not just the black women. It's black politics in general is moving in a lot of directions. Black folk are being pulled in multiple directions right now, and the Democrats are really, really struggling on a lot of fronts, and the black front is looking kind of hot right now. I love to cover that little angle, but we're going to get to that maybe like Saturday. I don't know, because I do have to work a lot during this next couple of days. I think I'm going to be putting in some hours these next 2 days, but Saturday looks clear. We'll see. If I can't do it before, then we'll definitely get it out by Saturday. But speaking of wrangling these hoes, I want to share this last clip with y'all. We're gonna get up out of here.
And teaching girls to like get you a rich nigga to like trick on you. Like, I think, no, listen, no. Let me
forgetting your rule.
No, I'm not though. No, I'm not. Because I think we grew out of that and we realized you got to get your own money because, sorry, Ty, so nobody can control you. I think it's kind of dangerous to kind of like tell women, and I'm not talking about us, it's these women.
Now look what she said. You got to get your own money so nobody can control you, right? Because marriage is for broke bitches. Right? She didn't use the words, and that was a clip that was much older. I think this is a lot more recent of a clip, but the argument is the same thing. The spirit is there. Marriage is for broke bitches.
And they're like pushing that trad wife life. And it's like, I'm sorry if I'm being honest, if your man is like making even like a 6-figure, 80,000, so like, y'all should both work. Because imagine if y'all was both making $100,000 or y'all both was making $200,000. Because I saw this clip and this girl was just like, that's crazy that, you're living off of a man that's making like $100,000 a year when you can really go out and work and help your family. Yeah. That man is stressed. You're stressed. You can't get, you got to ask him, can you imagine having to ask somebody, can I get my hair done today?
Well, don't get me started, Queen.
Look, $100,000 isn't even enough because she still got to actually ask you for the money. Every day the rules get more retarded and the bar gets raised a lot higher.
Since you asked.
I just feel like have a man do things or whatever you want to do, but please, y'all, please go out here and get your own money.
I think we are too wrapped up in the culture of men supposed to be doing everything to the point that but we've talked about this. Like, it will be a man who work in, again, just throwing this job out there just because it's what popped up in my head. Mm-hmm. A man will work at UPS,
right?
And he's making $60,000 a year,
right?
But because a girl that's like 22, 23, she follow all of these popping girls online who got all the designer shit, whatever.
who might also have successful businesses, might also have rich husbands, whatever the case may be. But they see these women with all of these things, and then now you asking your boyfriend who makes $60,000 a year that work at the UPS store, can he buy you a Chanel bag?
Yeah.
I just be feeling like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like that actually really do be crazy to me, because like, is that what's most important to people these days?
Yes.
Like looking a certain way and having a certain aesthetic online. Like even if you have a good man and he can't provide that for you, or he can't do that for you on a regular basis, are you really willing to leave your good man so that you could keep up a certain aesthetic online, or put y'all in a financial bind so that you can keep up with other women who really actually got men who can provide these lifestyles for them? Like it's not nothing to them. They just throw the money away.
Yeah.
And so I think even with us when we were younger, some of the stuff that I think I used to say on the show, I was saying it from a space of like dating somebody and dating people who like it wasn't nothing to them. So I could see how that could come off to people like it was unrealistic standards, but it was actually like the reality of what I was living. But I'm also dating somebody who can do this stuff, and it's not him putting himself in like a financial bind.
You know, and it's weird, the conflicting messages when you get when you listen to women speak. You know, on the one hand, marriage is for broke bitches. On the other hand, you can't marry no broke nigga anyway, right? So either way, there's just no marriage. No, that marriage just isn't good for anybody. No, either way, it's just a bad deal, apparently.
I think these days women don't really be giving a fuck about what men be going through, about how hard it is as a Black man to become successful in America and just to even be able to make ends meet. They just want to be able to keep up with a certain aesthetic. And I feel like when we used to preach about the stuff we used to say on the show, it wasn't coming from that space. Because I can also say with you too, I feel like you were talking to guys who could like do the things that you was talking about, and it wasn't like putting them in a fucked up financial position to be able to do it for you.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that this narrative is getting a little bit, it's going too far.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even when we were talking about it, we're talking about like, you know, going on little dates and having fun, go and get a bag, like doing this and that. But like now it's like y'all are teaching it like it's a lifestyle. Y'all
bitches don't want to go to work.
Go to work. Go your ass to work. Take that money.
See, look, that's why they want to get married, because they broke. That's, you know, it's crazy. That's another thing that's like low-key killing it. It's like, damn, dudes kind of wanted the blue pill, I think she really loves me game. Not the, you know, you just need a nigga to save you from your life type of game.
And invest it in something, bro. I am going to always tell young girls to go and be a boss every time. Go work your way up in that corporate job and make your own money. So when a man comes along that has money, it's just an addition to what you already have.
Right.
You don't have to ask somebody, I don't have to ask a man, can I go get a Chanel bag no more? I don't have to ask a man, oh, I want to get my kitchen renovated. No, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do in my house.
And if you want to pay for it, thank you, appreciate it, because I keep
come on
my
now.
money now.
Come on.
But it was going to get done either way.
Come on now.
That's what I wanted. Yeah.
And y'all don't understand. I didn't understand the importance of that.
Yeah.
In my 20s. But now, as a 36, going on a 37-year-old woman, I'm going to tell y'all right now, never stop working. I don't care what a man tells you. Oh, I want to take care of you. You know what, babe? Imagine if you had your money and I had mine and we combine our incomes.
Yeah.
That combination.
That's a great combination.
Come on now. I mean, I always have looked at Jay-Z and Beyonce. It don't stop. Jay-Z is working on Beyonce's birthday.
Look at that. That's the way they look at it. You know, you got to be the power couple. Jay-Z and Beyonce. This is some bullshit. You know, and that's the weird gray area. And you know, the human psyche is like a very like fragile thing. You know, we're willing to bear certain burdens, but only under the right conditions. You know, I'll be your burden. You know, I'll be the guy that carries your burden. You know, I'll rub your feet and all that stuff. I'll take care of you when you're sick. I'll make all the money and all that. But I don't want to do it because like you just want to do business with me. Like I want you to actually like me too. You know what I mean? Like there's a weird gray area there where it's like, yeah, marriage is a business theoretically, but you know, the way the women approach the deal is like, nah, if this is the deal, I'd rather just not do it. You know what I mean? Like they have a hard time actually selling you the deal. That's what I'm really hearing a lot in the modern world with all these like female podcasters. They just forgot how to sell you the deal. And I think if women kind of collectively could remember how to sell the deal, how to, you know, be the dream. You know, you got to sell me the dream that I actually want to buy, you know? I'm not saying that I'm unwilling to buy into a dream, but you got to sell me the right kind of dream. Don't sell me your dream. You got to sell me my dream. And that's a harder thing, I guess, to do. But anyway, I just want to kind of comment on these women real quick because I thought it was a fun little concept to jump in on. Is marriage for broke bitches? Because a lot of these women got money now, and maybe that's one of the reasons why the marriage rates are just, you know, in decline. Because marriage is for broke bitches, and women collectively just aren't as broke as they typically would be. Anyway, food for thought. Hit that like button, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We're going to get up out of here. Peace, y'all.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help Black people.
Make it stop. Make the hurt stop, please. Like,
it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.